Okay, I will call to order the Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Oregon City Urban Renewal Commission. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Lori Arinello.
Here.
Commissioner Adam Morrow.
Here.
Commissioner Denise McGriff.
Present.
Commissioner Doug Neely.
Here.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Here.
And Chair Mike Mitchell.
Here. Thank you. Any public comments?
Nope.
No public comments. Okay. We'll move on to item 3A, Personal Services Agreement with Centerline Concepts Land Surveying for the Stimson Property Survey. Mr. Conkle.
Thank you. Evening, Urban Renewal Commission members. So tonight, I have before you a personal service agreement with Centerline Concepts Land Surveying for the Stimson property. So when this started, what we were thinking was where old Washington Avenue 82nd went through on the north side of the property in between Stimson and Metro, that was still public right away. And we were going to get a surveyor to come in, look at that property so that we could vacate it. So we'd have to go through the legal descriptions and whatnot to do that. We then realized that the full build out of Washington Street is going to require some dedication of land from the Stimson property to build out the full road. So when we were putting the concept together with Centerline to get a quote, those were the two things that we asked for. We really wanted to get the right-of-way dedication done prior to any sale to have to negotiate with any future property owner. After we thought about it a little bit more and looked at this a little bit more, what we had proposed was what's called a record of survey. And I think we've realized now, after looking at this a little bit more closely, that really a partition plat is more appropriate for this property. And so on the dais, I've put down a second estimate from Centerline Concepts that's dated October 1st, 2024 on the dais in front of you. And really, I'm going to ask Dana to kind of just walk through this real quick PowerPoint presentation, just to kind of show you visually why we want to change this contract from what was provided to you in the packet to the one that's on your dais, as well as what we anticipate to be some additional costs that are necessary to vacate easements, record documents with the surveyor at Clackamas County, process applications in Oregon City to do this. So if there are any questions, we could go through Dana's presentation real quick and then ask those questions, or if you have some for me before she starts, I'd be happy to try and answer those.
All right, good evening, Urban Renewal Commission. I'm Dana Webb, the Public Works Director for the City of Oregon City. So on this first slide, you'll see the map that was included in your packet. So this gives a kind of a big picture overview of the intended dedications and vacations. So really, the goal of this work is to, as City Manager Conkle mentioned, dedicate that necessary right-of-way for the future Washington Street, but also to look at that yellow area that is the old 82nd Avenue right-of-way prior to the construction of I-205. We don't need that right-of-way going back there, and so we can put that back on private ownership as developable property. So this slide really kind of gets into some of the issues we've identified as we kind of dig into it. So on the left side, you'll see the Stimson property, and the property has a handful of encumbrances or easements on it. And so you can start to see those. There's one kind of towards the north end that bisects the property. And then there's additionally a public utility easement for private utilities that runs along that old right-of-way alignment. Let's see. Yeah, the pointer. It's the kind of the yellow section that looks sort of adjacent to Washington. And then again, there is an interesting easement mapped which actually has no public utilities in it as well. So that's the one that crosses Washington Street. On the right side, you can see it's a little bit messy, but it's the map of all of our public utilities out there in this area. And so really what we can see from that is that that utility easement that runs kind of left to right actually is not in alignment with the current water line. So our current water line is on private property, not within an easement. And then there's also storm drainage lines out there that are not within an easement. And then as we look at vacating that right-of-way, there are existing water lines in that area, so we would need to record easements to allow the city in the future, if the property is under private ownership, the ability to maintain those lines. And so as we kind of really started digging into all of these pieces, we really kind of went back to the surveyor and wanted to confirm that what our ultimate goal was going to be accomplished with that record of survey. And their recommendation at that point was, it's actually development of a partition plat, but you don't go through a partition process. And that's just kind of the naming of how they do that. So there would not be a partition land use application. It's just the mechanism of how they notate all those changes. So I'll walk you through just briefly what we think the scope of work looks like for all of the items needed to complete this. So tonight's personal services agreement is to complete that survey work with Centerline Concepts. So originally in your staff report, the ask was for $8,850. The revised scope provided to you tonight is the $14,050. And so that gets us all of the research, the surveys, the map and legals for those vacations and dedications. And then the survey would prepare that partition plat, which would really give that final, specific square footage of the lot that's available. So it's going to kind of take all of those pieces and make it super clear from here's what's able to be developed as this piece of property. So then from there, once we have those deliverables of those map and legals, then we would work through the process to dedicate the necessary right-of-way. So on your main map, that was the pink area. So a small section at the south end would be dedicated. And in order to do that, and this is kind of a preliminary scope of work, but we would come back to the Urban Renewal Commission and they would authorize that dedication of property. And then at a following city commission meeting, the city commission would then accept that right-of-way on behalf of the city. So unless I get different direction from our city attorney, I think it's a multiple step process. You would authorize, I believe it's the executive director can sign that dedication form. So you would be authorizing that as an action in the future. And then the city commission would accept that as an action at one of their meetings. And then we would record those documents. A similar process for the vacation. And so we would work through that. There is a public hearing for those vacations that would occur at the city commission, and then recording of those documents. And then once those vacations are done, then we would process a land use application for a lot line adjustment. And that's the formal document with the county surveyor that really cleans up that old right-of-way line that would kind of still visually bisect the property after the vacation. And so that has some application fees as well as recording document fees. So each of those actions, the dedication, the vacation, and the lot line adjustment, have fees for the application and the processing of those, as well as recording fees at the county for those documents. And so the anticipated cost for the whole kind of collection of items is that $14,050 contract, and then we've estimated those application fees and recording expenses. We're still working through exactly how many different easement documents we would need, and recording of documents is based on page numbers. So we've made a guess, and we will continue to refine that number. But we anticipate up to $10,000 in application fees and recording fees for those documents.
Yes,
I guess it's confusion on my part. We're talking about dedicating easements. We're also talking about vacating them. So we're looking for larger easements in some places and elimination in others. And that's going to be part of the study.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We're looking to vacate Old 82nd, but then we do have right-of-way dedication needed along Washington frontage. When I first started here, when we did partitions and subdivisions, we automatically put a 5 to 10 foot public utility easement around the entirety of a lot. We stopped doing that probably 15 years ago, at least. But that's one of the easements that you see on Stimson is this 5 foot PUE, public utility easement around the entirety of the lot that has nothing in it. So that'd be an example of getting rid of an easement. And then approving the easements over the water line and the stormwater lines that go across the property. So you've got a combination of right-of-way vacation, right-of-way dedication, easement removal, and new easements being put in place to kind of just clean the whole thing up. And as part of this with Centerline would be, going through the title report. There's a lot, the one I saw from 96, there's quite a few easements or encumbrances referenced. So really just trying to clean that up and identify what's really on this property so that when we do put this up for sale and the development, we've identified the encumbrances and where development can happen and where it can't.
Follow up a bit, if I might. We don't know what the development is, but I presume at some point perhaps sidewalks and so forth is going through. So is it the potential that some of the easements that we create will also see vacated areas in terms of what development might go in or not? I mean, we got the plat and then we build a house and then we vacate part of our property to support things like sidewalks and so forth. Will any of that happen in the actual development stage when we have somebody we want?
Well, I think we're trying to clean up as much as we know now.
Okay.
So like we know the right-of-way width of Washington Street. And so what we call a half street. We know what our half, the Stimson half should be, and we know we're a little short in some places. So we would dedicate that. If there's things that happen later on through once we actually have a development in hand that require pedestrian access or something like that, I think that would be part of the land use process. Okay. Not necessarily now, just because we just don't know.
Okay. Yes.
So in total, pending the title search, we're really unsure how many right-of-ways, vacations
exist?
Yeah, we don't really know at this point, do we? We have a guesstimate.
We have a guesstimate. I mean, we have what we have in our GIS system that, is pretty good. Could there be a surprise on there that we're not, the hard part was the title report I've seen, that used to be one large parcel that was Stimson plus where Amtrak is. So like I saw a reference to a natural gas line easement. I don't see it on Stimson. It might be on Amtrak. It might have been vacated. That's why part of it is just getting an updated title report and having the surveyor go through it and identify where each of these is. Like I can read that there's an easement, but I don't have the ability to identify exactly where it's at on the property and which property that it's on. So yes, there could be others that we're not aware of.
Well, it's obvious you have to remove the uncertainties prior to offering for sale.
Right, and let's just say there's easements there that have nothing in them that we find, right? So then it would be like, okay, how do we get rid of this? If it's to the benefit of some other agency, we would have that discussion with them of, hey, this this encumbrance is from your company. It's not being utilized as it's still needed, or can we remove this, right? And some of them may be our own, just depending on where that old right-of-way went through there, where some of the old utilities were. Some of these could just be leftovers from years and years ago.
So I see county fees. Is there any money being exchanged internally between urban renewal and the city?
Yes. So there would be, there'd be the land use application for the lot line adjustment. So the the lot line adjustment is a type 1 land use decision that's done through the planning department that then gets sent over to the county for recording. We have fees associated with vacating right-of-way. There's an application for that. There's a fee. Is there a city fee for easements?
Yes, there's
There is.
a vacation of easement fee, and a lot of that is really tied to, it's a public hearing, so there's noticing requirements with that. And then there's some processing fees for the right-of-way and easement.
So for example, a lot line adjustment is just over $1,500. Processing vacation of right-of-way, just over $1,300. Vacation of easements, $782. Dedication is $266. So there's nominal fees associated with those to process the applications. It's just, we could have upwards of 10 removal of easements and additions of easements.
But the ask tonight is for the $14,050.
We'd love to get that, as well as the authorizing me to spend up to $10,000 to process the applications and keep that process moving forward. Obviously, we would be coming back, as Dana said, getting authorization to, for example, to dedicate the right-of-way, right? We'd bring that to you, you'd authorize it, I'd sign it, I'd submit the application to the city, city would then process it, city commission would make a determination on the application.
Other questions or comments from commissioners?
Nope, I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready for a motion.
Any comments on this end? Nope. Okay, go ahead with your motion.
I'd like to move to approve these personal services contract with Centerline Concept Surveying for the Stimson property survey in the amount as specified on the amended proposal of $14,050, and also authorize the city manager to up to $10,000 for any additional fees. Having surveyed my property and having to record it, it's by the page. It's expensive.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Go ahead with the call to vote, please.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori Arianello.
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Commissioner Doug Neely.
Aye.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Chair Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Items B and C are minutes approvals. I think we can take those together. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of January 17 or February 21, 2024?
I didn't see any.
None.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to approve both.
Second.
Go ahead with the vote, please.
Commissioner Rocky Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori Arianello.
Aye.
Commissioner Adam Marl.
Aye.
Commissioner Denise McGriff.
Aye.
Commissioner Doug Neely.
Aye.
Commissioner Frank O'Donnell.
Aye.
And Chair Mike Mitchell.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, on to item number 4, communications. Any communications?
Really just, we're continuing to move forward on the Stimson property. You may recall you approved an appraisal. We have a draft that we're working through right now, reviewing, and then part of this work associated with the surveying will then be incorporated into that to make a final document. I do anticipate, coming back to the Urban Renewal Commission, as I feel like we're getting near the end of things to put together for this property. So like I said, barring something really unexpected coming up in the title review and survey, I feel like we're getting, close to being able to start preparing that package that then we would bring back to have a discussion with the commission about exactly, what that RFP or RFQ looks like that we're going to put out for this property. The other thing that we've been working on, I talked a little bit about working with the Public Works Department to really I'm trying to get as much information ahead of time that we know into what can be provided to the public so that maybe we can get a better proposal in response to what we put out. Another component will be essentially kind of creating a demonstration square footage type of use so that we can give an estimate of what a system development charges would be associated with a type of development on that property, so it's not something that's kind of forgotten until the very end. Application fees, just trying to really identify those things that we kind of hear, that we've heard in the past of, Oh, well, I didn't know I had to pay for those, right? Or urban renewal, you should pay for those, right? So it's really trying to get as much information up front of the things we've kind of tripped up on in the past.
I think that's a great idea. The more a prospective purchaser or prospective developer or whoever might be looking at it knows, the better it is for us. And it also, I think, shows a good act of good faith on our part that we are disclosing just everything that we possibly know. And again, there's stuff we don't know, but, you know, we're doing the best we can.
Right.
Makes sense.
That's all that I have.
Okay. Anything from anyone else for the good of the order?
Yes, I do. I'd like to go ahead, since it's in the urban renewal area, I'd like to go ahead and report on what's going on with the courthouse task force, and then I don't have to do it at our second meeting because even though it's in the urban renewal. So anyway, so as just to bring everybody up to speed, so over the last few years, you know, I've been trying to work with the county, with staff as well, to help the county understand that we need to be moving forward on the courthouse. And you know, 2.5 years ago, we had a great opportunity to apply for a grant that the city was going to put in about $60,000 to match a $250,000 grant. And we could not get the county to sign the application to go in for the project. It was going to update all the known things, sort of the geotechnical, some of the structural, any of that stuff that the county had already done. So fast forward, after further discussions with County Chair Smith, she agreed to form a small committee, which includes, from the city side, myself and James Graham. Also, we're going to ask Brandon Dole, who's an architect, to sit in as much as he can. So we have a representative from the Downtown Oregon City Association, a representative from the Oregon City Chamber, and a representative from the Oregon City Business Alliance. And if you want, I mean, I can say the names. It's been approved by the commissioners. So representing DOCA will be Juliana Allen. Representing the Chamber will be Victoria Mining, the former executive director. And supporting OCBA will be Jeff Schaefer. He is the finance guy over at the college, and also does many other things, but he's very well versed. So we had our first official meeting, kind of unofficial. I asked for the first thing to have happen is that everybody get a tour of the courthouse. I thought it was important to ground the committee in what we're dealing with so that we all start from the same base, so that we can kind of understand what we're dealing with and what we're looking at it. And so we were able to go into just about all the floors. We didn't go on the roof, although that would have been fun. But we also went down on the outside and looked at by the 8th Street dock. So we have a series of 3 to 4 meetings coming up over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And it's going to be facilitated by their former communications person, Shelley Perini. And I have a conversation set with her tomorrow, so I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about, but I guess we're going to talk about how the committee is going to work. So I will keep updating you as I know more information. Like I said, we haven't formally met other than this tour. So that's where we are at this point. And I'm hoping that, you know, I don't want to presuppose what the outcome will be, but obviously, whatever the committee comes up with, we'll have to go back through the commissioners. Oh, excuse me, I forgot to mention the county. So the county staff is Laura Edmondson, who's their new economic development person. She was formerly the executive director of the North Clackamas Chamber. Commissioner Schrader will be joining us, as well as Chair Smith. And so Tootie Smith and I are chairing it at this point in time, and we will see how this goes. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic and not overly eager, because I don't want to get too far ahead of Commissioner Smith. Not you, but the other. You want to add anything, or did I get the highlights?
You got all the highlights and the lowlights.
Okay, good. I thought there were some lowlights.
I have one question. So, as a part of what this committee, the county has a bigger presence downtown than just the courthouse building?
Yes.
Like Liberty Plaza,
Yes.
like the law library
Yes.
building, the other ones down the street?
Right.
So is part of what you're going to be discussing what the before and after county footprint downtown is?
I think some of that's been determined, and I can tell you what I know to date. So the county building that's down across from the transit center will remain what it is today. They have no plans to vacate that. It's going to stay there.
Okay.
The Holman building, they're going to keep operational for the time being. That's the one adjacent to Liberty Plaza. Commissioner Smith has agreed in concept that we should get Liberty Plaza as a park for the city. Of course, I've said for no money. We just want him to transfer it to us. And then that would require some lot line adjustments and some other things, and maybe that's something we can possibly assist in. Then there's the courthouse, because basically the Liberty Plaza, as far as I know at this point, is not going to go with the courthouse. The one question I have that I will ask at the committee is the parking that is adjacent, which is a lot of the sheriff cars parked there during the day, and then McMinimans also gets to use it in the evening, and I'm sure that they would be very interested in that. But I suspect that whatever the development that happens with the courthouse, that parking lot would probably go with it. But I want to make absolutely sure that it does. I think there's going to be a need for some off-street parking for that, whatever it's going to be. But those are the dispositions of the buildings that I know to date, and that was confirmed with Administrator Schmidt. So.
Great. Good info. Anything else? All right. Seeing nothing else, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Wish me luck.